The Boston Bruins, for the first time since 2016, they missed the playoffs in 2024-25. They have fallen a long way since their record-setting season in 2022-23. 8th last year, 15th in the East, 28th overall in the NHL with only 76 points. And from where I'm sitting, Neil, I looked at the additions for this season, and this feels like it is going to be a year of David Pastrnak against the world, because obviously Marchand left, Bergeron and Krejci before that. This is a shadow of the club that it was 3 years ago. And I'm going to go through the additions here, and you tell me if you see any game breaker acquired by general manager Don Sweeney. Victor Soderstrom, acquired in a trade with Chicago. Victor Arvidsson, trade with Edmonton. Tanner Jeannot, signed as a UFA from the Kings. Mikey Eyssimont, tough guy, grindy type player, signed as a UFA from Seattle. Alex Steeves, signed as a UFA, Group 6 from Toronto. Jordan Harris, signed as a UFA that wasn't qualified by the Blue Jackets. And Sean Kuraly, coming back in as a UFA from Columbus. This will be his second stint with the Bruins. Anything jump off the page there?
Only that Tanner Jeannot is a very rich guy for what he can bring to the table. His contract is very good for his level of play. The only name that sort of jumps off the page to me is Jordan Harris, who got signed from the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jordan Harris was who Columbus got for trading Patrick Laine to Montreal. So now they got nothing for Patrick Laine in Columbus. Not that Jordan Harris was anything more than a name to get in that trade when Don Waddell moved Patrick Laine over to the Habs.
And there's really not a lot in terms of the RFA, UFA re-signs. The most significant is Morgan Geekie, who had his second consecutive career year with the Bruins. So if he's going to be the offensive force right behind David Pastrnak, and maybe you've put in Pavel Zacha behind that, because of the players that they re-signed, defenseman Mason Lohrei, defenseman Henry Jokiharju, center John Beecher, left wing Riley Tufte, who re-signed as the UFA because didn't get signed anywhere else. I'm at a loss here at where I could see any sort of improvement for this club. So the Beantown question for you is, yes, I think James Hagens, who was picked 7th overall center out of BC, has a great chance to crack this lineup. But the reality is, for first-year head coach Marco Sturm, who succeeded Joe Sacco, if this team is going to have any success, you're going to need a bounce-back season from Jeremy Swayman, and they're going to have to win low-scoring games. This has to be a defense-first club. Period.
I don't see Boston Bruins getting back into the playoff picture with the first-year coach Marco Sturm. Not that's anything against Marco Sturm. I hear all good things about him, and he certainly knows his way around the NHL. But I don't see the quality and the depth in this lineup that you need to make the playoffs, and I just don't see the Boston Bruins getting back into it. And I just want to make one comment, Vic. A year ago, Jim Montgomery was the coach of the Boston Bruins. They got off to a poor start, and they fired Jim Montgomery, who got immediately hired by the St. Louis Blues, who were off to a slow start. And Jim Montgomery retooled the St. Louis Blues into the playoffs last year, and the Boston Bruins kept falling and falling. So there's a lot to be upset about if you're a Bruins fan and you're waiting for this season to start and you want to see if they're going to be better. But I don't see it with the names we've been going over.
I think you and I try to be completely objective with every team that we look at. And from early in the summer, when we saw their moves, starting to unfold. We were waiting for something to happen that never did.
Well, and by what I'm seeing on paper, they want to be a tough team. They want to make it really hard on you to play in Boston. And that's why they picked up guys like Tanner Jeannot. And as you commented about Eyssimont, he's hard to play against. And they've already got some guys there that are hard to play against and that are tough. But that's not going to win you games. You can make it hard on the opposition to play in Boston, but you've also got to put pucks in their net. And I don't see it, other than, of course, star player David Pastrnak, but he can't do it all by himself. And who's their captain going to be, by the way? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And I think also they need a good bounce back year from Charlie McAvoy as well.
They do. They do. He's suffered through a number of injuries. He's a real quality offensive defenseman and defensive defenseman as well. And they do need a bounce back year from him.
And I think we should also mention Lindholm and Nikita Zadorov, who I think a lot of people were looking at to being maybe the second coming of Zdeno Chara. Certainly, those are huge shoes to fill, but I certainly think that we expected more from him last year. And I think those three defensemen need to make a big mark this year to help this Bruins team start to grow out of the hole that they dug themselves into last year.
Yeah, they do have to start to grow. And those Lindholm and Zadorov are going to have much better seasons next year than they had in their first season with the Bruins.